Girl is not scared, so Demon Girl is not happy. Alright guys, I know it's been over a month, but I'm not over it. I don't think any anime fans are over it. Just what the hell happened to the Promised Neverland Season 2? Where was the darkness? Where was the despair? Why did it feel like a speedrun? Why did it end on a slideshow? Who is this dragon? Do you know this dragon? I don't know this dragon. Well, I guess it's time to talk about it. Yes, upon first rewatch of the newest season, there were certainly some high hopes for the shonen. Season 1 had everything going for it. Great visuals, unique camera work, and some amazing character interactions that always left audiences hungry for more. It also really helped that it remained mostly faithful to its source material, just like about any good adaptation. This is where all the criticisms for Season 2 lay. You see, on its own as an anime, some of it's actually pretty okay. Yo, put down the pitchforks and let a girl finish. It's got a strong start, and there are some memorable moments, like when Sonju teaches Emma how to hunt and kill prey. What about when Emma and Ray have to escape the demons who smell through their disguises in the demon village, only to be saved by Norman, whom we thought was dead up until this point? But this is the point where a lot of us start thinking, wow, okay, we really got from Norman being dead to demons to Norman being alive maybe a bit too fast? And that's understandable because they literally did. This content should have happened not in Season 2, not even in Season 3, but like Season 4. This is Season 4 material, and they just skipped ahead like 150 chapters from the end of Season 1. Typically, shows adapt 2, maybe 3 chapters of a manga at a time into an episode of an anime. Sometimes only just 1 chapter is adapted into an anime. The first episode of Promised Neverland covered like 7 or 8 chapters. Then after episode 3, they just like skipped over 100? So, initially this was going to be a regular old run-of-the-mill anime versus manga video, like the ones we used to make back in the day. However, a few things have happened since then. Said subject has been just about covered to death by several other angry YouTubers and fans, and I don't really want to be a parrot. I don't really like birds all that much. My neighbors are chickens, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw those in your story.
I live near chickens in New York City. Since about 150 plus chapters in the manga were kinda just skipped over by the anime, it feels extremely overwhelming to mention every little thing that was missed. A lot was missed. Whole ass arcs and characters just went missing. Where would I even start? Goldie Pond, Mister, the giant sentient tree that tries to suck out Emma's life force what feels like only minutes after her escape from Gracefield? So this is when I thought, hey, why exactly did the Promised Neverland go off the rails? In fact, why does this happen to any anime? What are the reasons? Was this virus related? Was there drama behind the scenes? Or is it all purposeful? Anime make changes from their manga for any number of reasons. This is nothing new. We've all seen that scene from Gintama where the dude explains why anime filler happens. Editor, please bless the audience with at least part of this scene because it's so good.
せっかく迂回ルートを通ったのに遠く離れたところで力尽きて打ち切られたり
Sometimes anime catches up to its manga and it needs to figure out what to do once it gets ahead. Fullmetal Alchemist, one of the most beloved anime of all time, is probably the most famous example of this. The original 2003 anime caught up to the manga, and by episode 30 it began to create its own canon. FMA was so unrecognizable by the end that they redid the whole damn thing with Brotherhood, and that turned out to be amazing. Of course, there's the age-old debate of which FMA is better. In all honesty, the original isn't so bad. I can respect what it did more than whatever the Promised Neverland tried to do. They kinda went in the opposite direction with that questionable pacing. Sometimes anime also make changes because it's what the creator wants. Season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul, Route A, made several changes that were so negatively received by fans of the manga that from Season 3 onwards, the team made sure it remained faithful to the manga, and promotional material noted that fans read the manga up until a specific point so they could understand the story better. These initial changes were actually made because creator Sui Ishida wanted that to happen. At least, that's what the director of the anime, Suhei Morita, claimed in a Reddit AMA. He also added that although he and his team wanted to remain as faithful as they could to the manga, he didn't really have much power in the situation. So that's two more reasons. Creator intention and classic behind-the-scenes drama and production. Was this what happened with the Promised Neverland? We don't really have much to go on there, since NDAs make it impossible to know what is happening behind the scenes. We do know that no writers wanted to claim credit on episode 10 of season 2, so we could probably infer that something funky was happening there, but that still isn't really much to go on. Oftentimes, anime are made and get greenlit only for a couple of seasons because they're mainly made to promote the manga. Since the Promised Neverland manga ended in June of 2020, it would make sense that they wouldn't want to keep making more seasons. It's all about the money after all, baby. Capitalism, we love it, as we preach quite often. However, if I could inject a bit of my film student analysis into this, I think maybe what happened here is Pepper! Oh, now he just wants you to pet him.
Oops. Well.
Oh, come on, Boopy. Come here. Sit by Mama. I think what maybe happened here is that since the first season of the anime was so well received, the second season wanted to recapture the strong tone of the first. If you ask any Promised Neverland fan what the best arc is, most, if not all, will tell you that it's the first arc where the kids escape Gracefield. This arc is so different from any other arc in shonen. It's a slow burn, it's tense and creepy. That constant game of cat and mouse between the kids and Isabella is what kept viewers coming back for more. After this arc ends, all manga readers are well aware that this is where the slow burn gets a bit less intense, giving the story a bit of a tone shift into one of a more typical shonen narrative. Kids discover the whole world is awful, kids learn to fight, kids try to save the day. This is all fine and good for everyone who could still enjoy the story regardless. However, if the team behind the anime always intended on taking certain creative liberties, wouldn't it make more sense to have the anime keep the same tone that made it so successful in the first place? This article in Polygon puts it pretty well. By doing away with the Goldie Pond arc and the more out-there lore of the story, as well as bringing Isabella back, The Promised Neverland Season 2 feels like it's course-correcting the manga to recapture the tension and horror of the first season. I couldn't agree more with this. It seemed like it wanted to try something different by sticking to its initial tone, which I guess it deserves some credit for. Problem is, anime was bad. My biggest gripe was that it wasn't just the story that made season 1 so much better, it also did all this weird stuff with the camera work, like experimental angles and slow panning shots that felt akin to a horror movie, making us really feel like helpless children in a terrifying situation. Season 2 had this dramatic zoom in on a wall with the word help written on it paired with some creepy music. Demon Girl is not scared, so Demon Girl is not happy. Also, if it wanted to keep being a psychological thriller, where was the sense of dread and sacrifice? When the kids escaped Gracefield, you could call it a happy ending to a season, but there was still sacrifice that was made to get there. Norman was gone, little Phil had to get left behind, and a ton of clueless, scared kids left the comfort and safety of their only home for a life of narrowly escaping death at every corner. In season 2, all of the horrible things that happened didn't actually matter in the end because everything ended up being okay. This is not the anime for the power of friendship, for fuck's sakes. So, in that case, what do we do when an anime gets a bit too off the rails from its source material? Well, there's the obvious, just read the manga. Or light novel, or visual novel, you get it. Manga has become so accessible nowadays, a Shonen Jump subscription costs less than my usual Starbucks order, which is a iced vanilla latte with oat milk. You're directly supporting a creator, you get to see some cool-ass art with details that you may not pick up on in an anime, and reading is just good for the noggin. If you loved season 1 of The Promised Neverland, then I think you'll really love the manga. Even though the tone of the story shifts dramatically, that burning sense of dread remains throughout, and a lot of those scenes in season 2 that felt a bit too neat and tidy are much, much darker. Let's just say Isabella's story doesn't actually conclude with her singing songs in the park with an acoustic guitar. At the end of the day though, some of us just want to watch anime and don't have the time for hundreds of manga chapters. So if we want good anime adaptations, then the best we can do is to support official releases. Anime needs to make money so it can continue to make new seasons, and direct support of our favorite creators helps to make that happen. Maybe one day, with enough support, we can see the Promised Neverland get remade, and we don't have to let it disappear from our collective consciousness like we did with the final season of Game of Thrones. Hey!
God, what a disappointment.
What a disappointment. But I'm Dorrie. Thank you for watching Beyond the Bot. I hope you guys watch some better anime this season. We're your neighborhood anime club. And now my cat is like begging for me to pay attention to him. Meow. Thank you so much for coming to another episode here. I really appreciate the support. And I especially appreciate the support from our patrons Sugar Joe, Andrew M, Critical225, Kyle, and Eric Tortorapatu. You guys are the reason we can keep this going, and I cannot thank you enough.
Okay, so this one's from Eric, actually.
Oh!
Are there any anime which you used to love, but just don't like anymore?
Boy, do I have one for you. Okay, so when I was in like middle and high school, I was really obsessed with Italia. I know, please put the pitchforks down. I was very into it back then. I would like role play with my friends and we would buy all of the merch at conventions. But now I just think about it and I'm like, man, trash. Trash to the extreme. And I know they're bringing it back, and sometimes my friends are like, oh, are you gonna watch the new Hitalia? And I'm like, no. So yeah, that was one that I used to just completely adore, but now I'm like, it's time to move on to more refined tastes. But yeah, so that's the answer to my question, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. So long!